Good morning, security gang, and welcome back to the CyberHub Podcast, episode 1010. I'm on the road this morning, obviously not in my natural habitat of the studio. And again, comes with kind of the role and comes with everything else one has to do around here as a practitioner, as someone who's really trying to get things going. So this morning, we've got a busy show. We're going to get right into it. Obviously, it's very early where I'm at, really early. The only chance for coffee I got was like drip coffee, and I don't do that, as many of you are well aware. So for everyone listening to the show, tuning in, watching, that's drinking their cup of coffee cup cheers, y'all. I hope you really enjoy it. Now let's get into this morning's episode, because we've got a lot to talk about, including the fallout from the Oracle EBS continues to widen, with GlobalLogic notifying 10,000 members of its staff. GlobalLogic, part of Hitachi, says the threat actors exploited Oracle e-Business Suite zero-day CVE 2025-61882. We talked about it yesterday on the show. The leak site had some 30 some odd additional organizations than what we originally thought. Well, now some of them are coming out with these breach notification messages. They allegedly stole HR data like names, social security numbers, tax IDs, and even bank information. The activity dated back to July or August of this year, and exfiltration was confirmed on October 9th. So you're looking at a ton of impact to the business here, including payroll redirection risk, employee identity fraud, and even vendor and partner trust hits with this one. So if you haven't yet patched up your EBS for whatever reason, you really do need to get your change management team together. You really have to look at how quickly can we get this addressed and moved, so that it doesn't become an issue for the organization like it is there. We move to our next story. My favorite beer in Japan, Asahi Brewery, operations remain crippled by the recent ransomware attack. So reports from Japan indicate that Asahi production and distribution were disrupted by the ransomware incident. Kayleen has since taken credit in the related coverage, and it's leaking some of the stolen data, signaling a double extortion pressure and even some supply chain impact across retailers and logistics firms. And there's a ton of business impact here, folks, a ton of business impact. There's production downtime. And if you're not in manufacturing, I've said it on the show before, and I'll say it again. I said it at my keynote, I believe it was last week at FutureCon. When Jaguar Land Rover went down and they shut down production, they realized it was going to take them 6 to 8 months to get back up to that level of production they just stopped. And the same applies with every single manufacturers, and threat actors know this, which is why they target them, because they're if you don't shut down, if you're able to keep the shutdown minimal in time, then you're able to get back to production quicker. The longer that it takes to get you back up to production, the longer it's going to take for you to ramp up. It's the kind of the formula is opposite of what it looks like on a chart there. So again, you want to actually look at some of this. You should be isolating your OT and ICS networks in manufacturing, like they do in power, like they do in oil and gas. Those should be isolated environments. They shouldn't really be talking. And I know that it's harder said than done, but you could do some data diodes or potential some network obfuscation techniques. If you've got to bring them together in order to limit the impact, you can look at microsegmentation. That's another option. You should rehearse shipping on paper contingencies, which is a big one, and you should enforce offline immutable backups with some restore tests there. So yesterday was that demonic day of the month where all of us understand that someone somewhere decided that it's a great day to drop this all in our heads, the second Tuesday of every month, because why not? Because we all are just reeling after Monday anyways, to call it Patch Tuesday. So Microsoft having a what I like to call a slower than usual Patch Tuesday. I believe 60 total vulnerabilities addressed, including an exploited window kernel's zero-day was patched up. So the 60-plus flaw included zero-day CVE 2025-62215. That's the window kernel local privilege escalation via race conditions that's being actively exploited. So you want to make sure you get that patched up. You should expect rapid weaponization and post exploitation chains. You could be looking at some EDR bypass via system level escalations and even faster lateral movement. You want to patch now and push a rapid reboot window and hunt for any suspicious token manipulation or even anomalous LSAS access there as well. But that's really the big news out of this Microsoft Patch Tuesday, which is, again, refreshing. It's kind of nice. It's not 7 CVEs that we have to worry about. It's really a bunch of different vulnerabilities, but really one 0-day. Last month, if y'all recall, I think we had like 6 0-days in total between like Patch Tuesdays and a few days before. So there's that. Adobe also patching 29 vulnerabilities across its suite of creative stack of products. Adobe shipping fixes for InDesign, InCopy, Photoshop, Illustrator, Substance 3D, Stager, and more. Several code execution bugs are rated as critical, but no in the wild exploitation was being reported. Adobe is one of the easy ones to update. Really, I mean, I'd say that 95% of what Adobe has could be updated just by pushing out the patch cycle after just a brief test within your controlled environment, and then you can push it out. It's the Adobe kind of enterprise supported tools that support various applications within the business. That's where you likely have to buy a bit more time there as well. SAP, for their end, also releasing 2 critical vulnerabilities. One is a perfect 10 that's under SQL. So SAP's November notes include CVE 2025-42890. That's got a CVSS of 10. That's a hard-coded creds in SQL Anywhere Monitor. And CVE 2025-42887. That's got a 9.9. That's code injection vulnerability in Solution Manager. SAP removed SQL Anywhere Monitor entirely. They've also updated CVE 2025-42944 for NetWeaver AS Java. So again, direct code execution inside core ERP or ITSM tools is a significant business impact risk. So you should remove and disable SQL Anywhere Monitor, apply all notes, rotate SAP service credentials, and even review some of your Solman RFCs for abuse. That'll go a long way. Those that are always gluten for punishment, and I don't know, there's a group out there, but Ivanti's Endpoint Manager is getting an arbitrary file write flaws. So that's the new and recent issue CVE 2025-10918 and 9713, as well as 11622. They all enable local privilege escalation, and in one case, even remote code execution with user interaction. Patches are in 2024 SU4 and 2022 branch is end of life. So again, if it's end of life, you should rip it. If you still have Avant and you haven't ripped it, rip it. It can become your adversary software distribution tool. We know the Chinese love them Avanti. Find you a tool the way China loves Avanti. Find you a tool like that, then hug it, love it, just invest in it because they absolutely adore it. Firefox 145 ships out with security and privacy hardening on the popular browser. Mozilla's latest release is bringing fingerprinting improvements and even some security fixes. So again, fewer user tracking risks, better browser baseline, and you should always have some sort of browser control in your environment. So you want to roll this out via enterprise policy. Again, this should be one of the easy ones to fix. We continue to move to other stories from Patch Tuesday into some specific activities and vulnerabilities. The Maverick WhatsApp malware is hijacking browser sessions in Brazil to steal a whole bunch of information. The Coyote, adjacent to the .NET malware, WaterSakis, is spreading via WhatsApp webs using VPS and PowerShell loaders. It's disabling defenders and UACs, and it's abusing Selenium and Chrome driver to push phishing to a victim's contacts. IOCs include domain zapgrand.com and files like orcamento.vps and tadu.ps1. Again, you're looking at brand abuse, account takeovers, and even fraud hitting LATAM operations and hospitality suites, which is what they're targeting. You should block Chrome driver and Selenium on endpoints. You should content filter WhatsApp web in corporate browsers, and you should monitor for those IOCs. Now, if you're in the US, you're looking at me going like, who in the world does this? You have not been to Europe. You have not been to Latin America. You have not been to the Middle East, Africa, or even parts of Asia. WhatsApp is extremely popular there. People use it. There's WhatsApp for business. Banks, financial institutions, many schools, many organizations don't use Slack or Teams. They use WhatsApp for collaboration across their environments. So the fact that this is being tested in Brazil means it has the ability to actually extend to other geographical parts if it's extremely successful there. And that's something that in your global environment, if you're a global CISO, if you oversee global operations, which in many cases you do, it's something you have to look at. Shadow WhatsApp in your environment is a real thing, and anywhere outside the US is extremely, extremely popular. If you work with some of the Israeli cybersecurity companies, many of them may have a Slack channel, but most of them will say they have a WhatsApp group, and that's where it all takes place. So there's that as well. We move to the Van Helsing emerging as a new ransomware as a service hitting Windows, Linux, Mac OS, BSD, ARM, and ESXi. The affiliates deposit $5,000, keep 80% of the payments. They're using Cha-Cha 20 plus Curve 25519 crypto algorithms. It supports lateral movement via SMB. It's got rapid development cadence. So again, cross-platform encryption, threats, including virtualized assets and estates. You want to have EDR on your hypervisors and ESXi's auditing. You should have SMB signing, and you should have privileged service account minimizations within those environments. All are critical. We continue to move to this next story here. The enforcement of junk fee pricing law in New York begins. If you sell to New York consumers, new enforcement requires total price transparency relevant for SaaS and online checkout flows. So again, if you haven't done that from a compliance perspective, the law became enforceable just a few days ago. So you've got to update your website, your apps. You're looking at potential penalties for non-compliance. You should audit your checkout UX, ensure taxes, fees are included in upfront price displays, and update legal copy. The days of selling in New York for $19.99 no longer exist. It's now going to be, like $22.75. That'll be a thing there as well. All right, our final story of the day. Remember that Bitcoin queen we talked about, that Chinese lady, like with billions of dollars worth of Bitcoins, and she was arrested and all that good stuff? Well, a London court sentenced Zamin Kian, the AKA known as the Bitcoin queen, to 11 years and 8 months in prison. Police see 61,000 Bitcoins in a record haul. So she's going to be spending the better part of her $5.5 billion fortune, which was taken away from her now, in jail. I mean, it's the equivalent of a $7.3 billion crypto investment scheme. I mean, that's insane. So it was a 7-year investigation by the Met's economic crime team into international money laundering, which highlighted the Bitcoin queen as the ringleader of a large-scale fraud campaign that defrauded 128,000 victims in China between 2014 and 2017. And then she went living in Europe thinking she can get away with it all. And lo and behold, the long arm of the justice. I mean, I'm sure she's happy being in the UK and getting 11 years. If you recall last week on the show, China sentenced 5 scam center ringleaders to death. So she's getting 11 years in prison, in a British prison. That's like a 3-star hotel. I mean, it's maybe, a Holiday Inn Express, out in the middle of Kansas somewhere. Not bad, nice people, you'll make some friends, food's stale, but, it's still edible somewhat. She'll get some yard time. If she was in China, did this in China, charged in China, she'd be executed within 30 days of her being found guilty, because that's China. So good for her for running to the UK, running to a justice system that gives her 11 years. She'll be out in 8 with good behavior, right? Because they take a third off over there, even half. She might be out in 6 years. And, then she can go work at Marks and Spencer's. I'm kidding. I'm joking. I don't know what she'll do after, but just saying, it's there. It's an opportunity. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, with all the latest. The show airs live, obviously, being that I'm traveling. I've pre-recorded today's show, so I'm not seeing your comments and the love you always give out. But please make sure to check out CyberHubPodcast.com. Exclusive content there, including a summary of every single one of these stories directly in your inbox shortly after the show airs. Today, you'll be getting them like perfectly at 9 a.m. On days we pre-record. So go check that out, subscribe, Follow us. Check out our YouTube channel. Thanks to all of y'all. We've passed 13,000 subscribers yesterday and headed strong towards 14,000. So thank you all for all your support there as well. Really appreciate it. Go check out our LinkedIn page for also exclusive content. Have a great rest of your day, y'all. Thank you so much for following, tuning in, and being part of the greatest cybersecurity community on the planet. And most of all, y'all, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.